Alright, you little gremlins, welcome back to RetroSupply, home of brushes, textures, and tutorials that don't make your head spin. Hey, speak of the devil. Today we're tackling the one thing that's tormented more beginner artists than critiques, deadlines, and bad anime combined. That's right, I'm talking about the human head. That lumpy, meaty flesh orb packed with eyeballs and regrets. Today we're going to cover warm-ups, finding solid reference, and a dead simple method for getting the head right every time. And then we'll dive deep into stylizing it so it actually fits your art style and doesn't look like it wants to eat your soul. Let's get into it. Here's the deal. There isn't some secret method for drawing heads that your favorite artists gatekeep from you. There's tons of approaches. Frank Riley, Steve Hudson, Michael Hampton. Me, I steal from all of them. But when it comes down to it, I stick with the classic. The myth, the legend, Andrew Lumis. The man literally wrote the book on drawing heads. I'm not saying it's the best or that you have to pledge loyalty forever. It's just the one I was raised on. Shout out to all those how to draw Marvel books I borrowed from the library. And yeah, I hear you. When is this baboon gonna stop rambling and teach me how to draw a head? Easy there, cowboy. First, we warm up. You can't draw clean heads if your hand feels like uncooked spaghetti. Spend 5 minutes on these. Circles. Do dozens of them. Big, small, ugly, perfect. It doesn't matter. Think of them like push-ups for your wrist. Egg shapes. Because heads aren't spheres. They're kind of like dented eggs with feelings. And lines and ellipses. Straights, tilts, ovals. It preps your hand for jaws and brow lines. Today I'm using the Dixon HB2 pencil from the mid-century pack, but the brushes from the standard pencil pack work great here too. I'm also using a paper texture from Phantom Paper because sketching on a pure white canvas makes my eyes bleed. This is where half of you will skip ahead thinking you can draw from memory. Spoiler, you can't. Even pros use reference. Here's where you can find some good reference. Photo sites like Pinterest, Instagram, stock photos, pose reference sites. There's heads galore. 3D models. There's tons online, and you can spin them around like they're on a lazy Susan. Or the mirror. This is low budget and high trauma. It's great for expressions. And here's a pro tip, don't make eye contact with yourself for too long in the mirror because existential dread may occur and you'll get scared and want to cry. Okay. Reference isn't cheating. Start out tracing the heads. It builds proportion, perspective, and feature placement. And draw different heads. We're all guilty of only drawing people we think are hot, but that's not growth. That's just comfort food. The human race is wildly diverse, and if you're only sketching Instagram baddies, you're skipping out on some of the best free character design inspiration on Earth. That being said, this is the reference I chose for today. Yeah, she's attractive. But she's also got a cool retro look, and I like turtlenecks, so whatever. Before I start the portrait, I like to do a quick gesture study. Nothing fancy, just to shake off the rust and feel out the vibe. The point is not to make something pretty. In fact, half the time it looks like a monkey tried to wrestle a pen. And that's fine. Gesture drawings are supposed to be messy, fast, and kind of bad. They're about capturing rhythm, energy, and personality. Not perfect anatomy. You're tricking your brain into warm-up mode, which means you're way less likely to freeze up when you actually start the drawing. Okay, we've warmed up, we've found our reference, we've done a quick gesture sketch. Now what? Step 1. Draw a sphere. This is your brain bucket. A round-ish is fine, it doesn't have to be perfect. If I'm feeling fancy, I'll use Procreate Shape Tool to get a clean circle. Otherwise, I just freehand it with no regrets. Next, lightly wrap an ellipse around the middle horizontally, like you're slicing the sphere in half. This sets the tilt of the head. If it curves up, they're looking up. If it curves down, they're looking down. If it's flat, they're staring into your soul. Today we're keeping it simple and doing a 3/4 view, but let us know in the comments if we should tackle drawing heads from different angles. Step 2. Chop the sides. Now we use a circle or an oval to slice off the sides of the sphere. Think of it like you're taking a ball of clay and using a knife to shave off both sides. That flat area becomes the side plane of the head. Draw a clean circle or an oval depending on the angle, on the side of the sphere where the flattened part is. If the head's turned more towards you, you'll see less of that side plane. It'll be squished into more of an oval. And if the head is turned away, you'll see more. It'll look more like a full circle. And here's a pro tip. If you're struggling to place the side plane, just trace over your reference photo and create a guide for yourself. Seriously, there's no shame. Step 3, add the guidelines. Alright, buckle up. This is where 99% of people get confused and cry. But I'm the teacher with the smooth brain, so I got you. First, divide the side plane. Take that side circle we just made and divide it into 4 even slices. That middle horizontal slice, that's your brow line. No, not the eye line, the brow line. Now go from the bottom back quadrant of the side plane and toss a rough oval for the ear. It doesn't even have to look like an ear at this point, it just kind of needs to exist. From the bottom of the side circle, wrap another curved line around the sphere. This marks the bottom of the nose. Let's give this sucker a hairline. From the top of the side plane, wrap another curved line around the front of the sphere, just like we did for the brow and nose lines. Depending on the person, this line might sit closer or farther from the brow line. Shout out to all my fellow 5 heads. But for now, let's keep it evenly spaced. Here comes the trickiest part. The chin line floats below the ball. Drop it down about the same distance as between the brow and the nose lines. Now your head should be split into 3 equal chunks. The hairline to the brow to the nose, and the nose to the chin. Divide the section between the nose and the chin in half. That's where the mouth goes. Easy. This is the last step, guys. Draw a center line down the face. It follows the tilt of the head, so it might curve. The jawline begins just below the ear, centered in the side plane crosshair. Then, from the ear to the chin, draw a curved arc to indicate the cheekbone plane and connect everything together. And boom, you drew a human head. Not a space melon, not a sentient balloon. Give yourself a cookie and let's move on. Step 4, features. What's a head without facial features? Nightmare fuel. Let's fix that. Start with the eyes. Drop 2 circles just below the brow line. These are your eye sockets. They're not the pupils, they're not anime dinner plates. It's just big round holes where the eyes live. Next, build the nose. Sketch a loose upside down triangle resting on the nose line. Stretch it up towards the brow to form the bridge. And there you go, instant schnoz. Now we're gonna place the mouth. Add a small horizontal line halfway between the mouth line and the chin. That will be the bottom of the lips. It's not the full mouth yet, just kind of a target to aim for. And remember guys, these are just guides, they're not gospel. You're laying down proportions to work from, not designing robots. The Loomis method is a tool, not a law. People are weird. Some people have button noses, some have chins that could cut glass, and some are just straight up strange looking. If you follow these guidelines too strictly, you can lose the likeness of your model. Study your reference and draw what you see, not what you think facial features are supposed to look like. Always break stuff down into simple shapes. Step 5, check proportions. Alright, we got a head, we got some features, now it's time to play everyone's favorite game. How bad did I mess this up? Take your reference photo, throw it on a layer above your sketch, scale it properly, and drop the opacity. My sketches always start out janky. This is where I clean things up. Add a new layer and draw corrections in a different color. Or just grab the Liquify tool. Go full digital plastic surgeon. Real talk guys, Liquify isn't cheating. Listen, if your proportions are off and Liquify helps, use it. You're still making the calls, observing your reference, and putting in the work. And here's a pro tip. If you want to spot mistakes before they sneak up on you, flip your canvas horizontally and vertically. This isn't just a final check. It should be part of your regular process. If your brain gets too comfy looking at your drawing one way, flipping it gives you a fresh perspective and instantly reveals anything off balance. Step 6, hair. Now that the proportions are locked in, it's time to make this look less like a bald cyborg and more like an actual person. Hair is kind of a whole beast of its own. It kind of deserves its own tutorial, but for today, we're gonna keep it simple. Biggest mistake I see beginners make is drawing it strand by strand like they're weaving a tiny wig. Don't do that. Instead, think about hair as big, chunky shapes. Also, give it volume. Hair isn't painted on the skull like a tattoo. And hey, if something looks off, don't panic. Go back a step and check your proportions again. Hairline, skull shape, tilt, all that stuff matters. Step 7, add detail. Alright, now that we don't have no baldies anymore, let's refine this thing and start adding some actual features. I like to start a new layer at this point so I don't get lost in all that construction chaos. Like hair, facial features are deep dive territory, but here's a quick and dirty breakdown. Right now we got a couple floating circles, but they only become eyes when you add the eyelids. I like to think of them like little trapezoids or slanted rectangles. The size, angle, and spacing of the lids depend on your subject's age, ethnicity, and expression. Noses are basically just 3 spheres. One big one in the middle, 2 little ones at the side. I almost kind of thought they looked like Ninja Turtles, but that's just me. Mouths are tricky, especially on dudes. Your character can lose a lot of aura if they start looking like handsome Squidward. For male subjects, I usually downplay the lips just a bit. But our lovely lady here, she's got big feminine lips, so we're gonna make them extra juicy. I have a soft spot for ears. They're like crinkly, weird little radar dishes, and I love them. Here's the trick. Focus on the shadows, not the details. Don't get caught up trying to map out every fold and wrinkle. Just look for the major shadow shapes and simplify them. Next up, stylization. But first, do me a favor and give this video a big old thumbs up. Bless the algorithms with a comment and subscribe for more great art content. If you don't, I'll know, and I'll tell my mom on you. Some folks say the Loomis method doesn't work for stylized art. That's a load of bull. Once you understand the structure, you can bend the rules. Personally, I lean comic book. The good news about this style is that it's built on realism. And even better, shifting from realism to comic style isn't about adding stuff. It's about subtracting, simplifying, reducing detail, making it readable and repeatable. I'll clean up the eyes, ditch all the tiny details, and keep a bold upper lid and a thinner lower one. That shadow under the lip? Gone. Swap for a single sharp line. And her ears? Stripped down to the essentials. And there we go. The structure's still there, but now it's stylized and easy to replicate without melting your brain. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to twisting the Loomis head. Today I'm mostly stuck to facial features, but this method works just as well for cartoons, caricature, or even anime. Oof, that was a big one. If you made it this far, congrats. I like you and we can now be friends. In fact, I like you so much, I'm gonna run this time lapse of my whole process so you can watch me draw, ink, and color this lady. But first, don't forget to check out RetroSupply.co. If you're into vintage art, dope brushes, or just want to give your art skills a tune-up, this is the place to be. You can grab all the tools I use today, plus a bunch of other cool stuff. Alright, end of plug, let's roll the time lapse. Alright, Matt talking in a time lapse? What is this craziness? This time lapse is a little longer, so I wanted to kind of go through and talk about some of the choices I made. So right here, I'm starting with the Loomis head. You know, this is taking me a little longer than usual because I'm trying to get it really clean for the camera. Don't do your heads this clean. You know, just kind of rough it out. You can kind of see me bounce back and forth between having the reference to the side and on my drawing. That's just me checking the proportions and making sure I'm kind of on track with everything. I kind of like to bounce back like that because it allows me to kind of check things as I'm going. I can start to notice some of like my bad habits, like say I always draw the eyes too low or the nose too low. I can kind of clock that and make sure I'm consciously thinking of it for my next pass and for future drawings. Yeah, so as you can see, I kind of started in a realistic style, and this is me kind of converting it into comic book style. I kind of just pull my sketch into a new canvas and put it on a private layer, just so I have a guideline for myself when I start to kind of apply the comic book vibe to things. And on this new canvas here, I'm kind of pushing and pulling the proportions and the line work and kind of trying to get that femme fatale vibe that I kind of wanted for this piece. I'm using Liquify or just drawing over things, using plenty of reference of comic book characters, lots of Black Widow reference for this one. I'm using the dry fountain pen from the standard pens pack like I always do with my line art for this comic book stuff. And then I'm going over it in Color Lab and applying the halftones. And that's kind of it. So hope you enjoyed the time lapse. And there we go. Heads explained. Just warm up, use reference, build with Loomis, and then stylize. If you dug this video, do me a solid and smash that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of my descent into madness, and drop your spiciest takes in the comments about why the Loomis method sucks. Oh, and hit up RetroSupply.co for all the brushes and tools I use today, plus a mountain of other vintage goodies and enough tutorials to trick your parents into thinking you actually went to art school. All right, I'm gonna head out. Get it? Head? Ugh. Happy creating.